So I recently spent 2 days with a billionaire, and stick with me because here's 8 key takeaways to help you grow your business. So I was recently invited to a private invitation-only mastermind with Grant Cardone at his offices in Miami. There was only about 50 of us that were eligible to be there in person, and amongst that 50 people, the annual collective reported revenue was $1.94 billion. Again, that's just the annual revenue, and that's not including grants. So needless to say, there was a lot of great information exchange in such a private, intimate setting. And yet here are 8 key takeaways directly from Grant's mouth himself, and you're gonna wanna hang with me until the end because these last 2 are really gonna be the juiciest. All right, starting at the top with some of the simpler stuff. Number 1 was do big things. Specifically what Grant said was, if you want to be recognized as a big deal, do big things. Now that might seem obvious, and yet so often I see entrepreneurs that are asking themselves, why am I not getting more followers on social? Why am I not being invited onto more podcasts or stages? And I get it. As entrepreneurs, we tend to like rewards and accolades. A perfect example of this, though, is my buddy Alex Hormozi. Just a couple of years ago, hardly anybody knew who he was, even though his gym launch business was doing well over $30 million a year in sales. Then all of a sudden he drops a book called $100 Million Offers that it clearly explained how to create offers that sell. It was extremely well written. It started to go viral. Shortly thereafter, he announced that his business had just sold and that he had sold off about 66% of his business for roughly $50 million in cash. Big news. Well, wouldn't you know, all of a sudden, like clockwork, his YouTube subscriber base and his Instagram followers started to accelerate through the roof. I literally watched him go from tens of thousands of followers to hundreds of thousands of followers in just a few months. And now he's being featured on every podcast and every stage imaginable. It's the perfect example of, when you want recognition and accolades, do something worthy of recognition and accolades, and they come naturally. All right, number 2 is to convert your income into real estate. That should come as no surprise. If you know anything about Grant Cardone, you know that he's a real estate mogul. And so, of course, his opinion is going to be a bit biased here. However, more specifically, what he's saying is take your active income streams and convert them into passive income streams that don't rely on your time, your talent, or your skill in order to build real long-term wealth. I've been doing that for a couple of years, but to be perfectly honest, I'm just not a big fan of real estate. I have no desire to be a landlord, nor to work with a property management firm who's going to be bugging me about the tenants. I want something as passive as possible so I can stay hyper-focused on the things that I'm really good at. So what I did is I found a family office. They go out and they vet passive income opportunities for me, and they manage my funds. Every month, I'm sweeping money over onto that passive income stream side. And the great thing about a family office is that they're not earning commissions. So they're not incentivized to do the things that line their pockets. They're incentivized to keep me as a long-term client. And the only way to do that is to line my pockets. All right, number 3, he said, take a look at the things or the people that you resent, and that may be an indication of what you need to be doing in your business. And I thought that was a pretty profound takeaway, especially from somebody like Grant. For me, I've done a lot of personal development work, so I'm pretty open to that idea, the concept that the people that we resent are typically the ones that we have the most to learn from. He went on to explain that currently in his business, he's looking at hedge funds now, and he's really hated hedge funds for the last several decades. He sees them as really squeezing the little guy to make the rich richer. However, he also pointed out that it's really the logical next best step for him in his business. And so he's going to become that thing that he hates. I would invite most people that I talk to take a look at the people that they judge or criticize the most and be open to actually taking a look at what they're doing and learning from them. Because typically the people that we judge or criticize or resent most often are the ones that we have the most to gain from. All right, as a marketer, I really like number 4, and that was nobody saw it. He said often he has to tell his marketing team, nobody saw it, nobody saw the ad, nobody's reading the copy, nobody's actually paying attention to the email, just do more of it. And of course, I love that because so often I've talked to entrepreneurs who are saying things like, I have no idea what else to email to my list. I'm like, well, what's an email that worked in the past? Send it again. Right? Or they say, oh, I'm running out of new ad ideas. Why do you need new ad ideas? What's your ad that worked the best in the past? Refilm it and launch it again. As I'm standing here right now filming this video, we're spending almost $1 million a month on ads, and all of our ads are really the same ad, just with different 1 minute to 2 minute hooks on the front end so that they look different. Because years ago we discovered a formula that's working and we just stuck with it. My highest performing ad is one that's been running for 6 years now. And on top of that, when we look at emailing our list, we have a database of about 100 and something emails, and every month we run roughly the same promotions. So we're not every day trying to come up with new emails to send. We just look into that repository of emails, pick something off the shelf, maybe change a few words a bit, and send it back out there again into the wild. Why? Because it works. So, nobody's paying attention. We tend to think because we're so self-involved that, I can't send them the same email. I already sent them that email. But nobody's really paying attention. Everybody's busy living their own lives. So don't overthink it. I thought this was great because he was really just saying, stop overcomplicating it. All right, number 5, do it again. He said, when we find something that works, we do it over and over and over again. He shared a story of a little over a decade ago when he was first transitioning into online and digital marketing. He got online to do a webinar with a webinar professional. Well, they get online and do the webinar. They do about $36,000 in sales over the next 24 hours. When the cart closed on that offer and he realized, hey, we did $36,000 in sales, he called the guy and said, hey, let's hurry up. Let's do it again. Let's do one today. And the guy's like, oh, we can't. He said, why not? Oh, it's a Saturday. He goes, I don't care if it's a Saturday, let's do it again. So they did it again, brought in another $20-something thousand in sales. And so I love this kind of advice from Grant because it makes it very obvious that he's not so worried about getting things perfect or right. He's focused on taking lots of action. And like he said, if it worked once, it'll work again. Do it again. Ooh, this next one will probably ruffle some feathers. He said, I am tired of hearing people talk about follow your passion. That's an entitlement mentality. You are not entitled to get rich because you followed your passion. Follow the money. Now, if you know some of Grant's story, you can see a real life example of this. When Grant first burst onto the scene digitally, he was selling sales training. He was known as the sales guy. But over time, you start to see that the real estate market was much bigger. There's way more people who want to invest in real estate and learn about real estate than there are people who want to learn about sales. And so he decided to pivot. While we were at the mastermind, he showed us that his business, just the info and courses portion of his business, is on track this year for $140 million in sales. That doesn't include, Cardone Capital, Cardone Ventures, and all the other things that they have going on. Now, that wouldn't be possible unless Grant had learned to pivot into a much bigger, more massive market. And so, don't follow your passion, become passionate about where the money is. All right, number 7, create intrapreneurs. One of the unique experiences we had was on the first day of the mastermind. We were able to sit in on the company's morning meeting. Every morning at 9 a.m., they kick off the day with this meeting where all the departments get together and they share their numbers and their wins. And this meeting was high energy, high excitement.
And for the CSR of the freaking day, the $16,739 holler, make some noise for the one and only, call him cash flow, Glenn Money Miller.
I think we've created great culture at my company and we have great energy, and even I was sitting there going, dang, this is a pretty exciting meeting. And he said he got that by attending a Primerica event years ago, and he saw how excited all of these reps were about their Primerica business, and he wanted to adopt some of that culture. He went on to explain that if you want to attract people with big dreams, you got to have a vision big enough for their dreams to fit inside of it. That's how you're going to keep these, people with high energy and high excitement about the work that they're doing. On the second day of the event, as an example, his number 2 in command, his second in command, Jared Glant, shared that this year he'll do over $3 million in earnings. He said, people ask me all the time why I don't want to leave and start my own business because, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. He said, but why would I leave when, everything I'm getting here is so good? Here's an employee who's about to make $3 million, over $3 million this year as an employee of a company. And so have a vision so grand that other entrepreneurs and people with that entrepreneurial spirit want to come work for you. All right, number 8 is my hands down favorite, and I wish more entrepreneurs understood this, and that is that big is easier than small. In other words, it is easier to run a big business than a small business. On the first day of the event, Grant said, so many people think that I'm on the grind all the time because my company is big now, but I don't work any more now than I did when my company was small. In fact, I work less. He said, if you want to get away from the grind, put more people between you and the grind. And I couldn't agree with this more. This year, as I'm filming this video, my company is on track to more than double over last year. And I've taken 3 30-day vacations so far this year. That means for 25% of the year, I've been unplugged. But when I was going through the grind of my business, when it was growing really quick and I was hiring lots of people and things were changing and everything was chaos, there were so many times when I thought to myself, oh my God, do I really want to keep going this way? I mean, I can't imagine having 1,000 employees. My life will be insane. And most entrepreneurs go through that phase. We technically call it no man's land. It's when your business is too big to be small, but too small to be big. And it's highly, wrought with controversy and chaos. Most entrepreneurs don't make it out the other end of that. Instead, the vast majority, more than 85%, decide to shrink back and stay small because they think that by staying small, their life is going to be simpler. But it's not. Because I was able to push through and eventually figure things out, my life is far simpler today. I talk to entrepreneurs all the time that are like, oh, I want to have a lifestyle business. But I have more of a lifestyle business than they do. When I take a vacation, my company grows. My income goes up. When they take a vacation, their income dies. And I can tell you firsthand, it is not harder to run a big business than it is to run a small business. But the benefits are much greater. So listen, if you got value out of this video, my friend, and you're somebody who's serious and ambitious about business and success, then make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell button so you get notified every week when I drop more content like this. And be sure to watch the next video in the lineup where I'm gonna dig deeper on these topics. By the way, in case we never met before, my name is Keala Kanae. I'm an entrepreneur that got started a few short years ago while working at a coffee shop for minimum wage, and I've gone on now to build multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses. My primary business now approaching over $90 million in sales. And I say that so that you know that everything I share on my channel comes from the real world applied knowledge of the things that have helped me create those results, and I share them here in hopes that they help you create similar results as well. So subscribe, hit that little bell button so you get content like this every week, and make sure you watch that next video in the lineup. I'll see you there.